Spirit warriors, buckle up. Because what's about to rise from the ashes isn't just a comeback. It's a divine detonation. Chosen ones. Have you ever felt like your silence was misinterpreted as defeat? Like the world buried you, not knowing you were a seed? There's a story of a young eagle that fell from its nest during a storm. Injured, ridiculed, and forced to grow among chickens, it forgot its wings. For years it watched the sky, admiring others from below. But one day it looked at its reflection, not as a chicken, but as royalty. It spread those long-forgotten wings and soared, and when it did, the world gasped, "Who are you? Chosen ones, you are that eagle. And this is not your return. This is your divine revelation. You're not making a comeback, you're unleashing a cosmic disruption. You've been down, misunderstood, underestimated, even betrayed by your own. But little did they know, your divine DNA was only in hibernation. As the great Les Brown once said, "Shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land among the stars." But baby, you didn't miss. You were just charging up. So, spirit warriors, don't you dare click away. Stay with me till the end of this video, because every second is going to remind you of who you are, what you carry, and why the universe paused just to watch your rise. Because what's coming isn't regular. It's not average. It's prophetic. You're going to shock the world. Let's go deep. Point 1. The invisible battle made you unstoppable. Chosen ones, let's get real for a second. While everyone else seemed to be out there living their best lives, posting their wins, flaunting their highlights, and soaking in attention, you were in the trenches. And not just any trenches. We're talking deep, dark, spiritual warfare, emotional exhaustion, mental heaviness, the kind of battles that don't show up on the surface, the kind that make you smile through pain so no one suspects you're barely holding it together. But here's the twist. What looked like suffering wasn't punishment. That invisible war was your training ground. You weren't being punished. You were being prepared. See, when God sets someone apart for a divine purpose, He doesn't rush the process. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Swords are sharpened in fire. And chosen ones? We are forged in seasons of solitude, setbacks, and silence. That heartbreak you thought broke you, it softened your heart for compassion. That rejection that made you question your worth, it redirected you to your true path. And those long, lonely nights when it felt like nothing was moving, that wasn't stagnation. That was sacred molding. You weren't being denied, you were being refined. God had to keep you hidden so no one could corrupt what He was building in you. You were a seed planted, not buried. While others bloomed quickly, He was growing your roots deep. Because what's coming through you requires depth, it requires resilience, it requires someone who's been tested in silence and still chose faith over fear. And now the shift is undeniable. People who overlooked you are doing double takes. Wait, how did they glow up like that? What they're seeing is the reveal, but heaven saw it all along. Your glow isn't just external, it's spiritual. It's that inner peace, that quiet strength, that God-given authority that can't be faked or copied. You didn't just glow up, you grew up. And while the world is only now noticing your worth, God already wrote it in the stars. You were never behind, you were just on heaven's timeline. So walk in it boldly, chosen one. The very battles you thought would break you were the blueprint for your breakthrough. Now rise, because the world is finally seeing what heaven saw all along. Point 2. Your energy is different now. Let's be real. When you walk into a room now, something changes. The energy adjusts, conversations soften, people straighten up like their souls just remembered to show respect. And it's not because you're loud or trying to be seen. You don't even have to speak. You are the attention. That quiet confidence, that magnetic presence, that deep sense of peace you carry, none of it happened overnight. It came from the trenches of spiritual warfare, from lonely nights where you cried out to the divine and got nothing but silence. And yet, you stayed, you trusted, you healed. You've been in isolation, not as punishment, but as preparation. While the world was out there chasing noise, you were being refined in stillness. You did the shadow work most people avoid. You sat with your trauma, your triggers, your toxic patterns, and you didn't flinch. That's spiritual bravery. You confronted the parts of yourself that were hidden in the dark and brought them into the light. That's soul purification. Now your aura doesn't just glow, it radiates. And it's not just energy, it's evidence. That light around you, that's heaven's highlight reel playing in real time. People feel it. Even if they can't explain it, they sense something different about you. They look at you like they're trying to remember where they know you from. Spoiler alert, it's not from this dimension. You carry ancient wisdom in your bones, celestial codes in your eyes, and divine fire in your spirit. The same people who once overlooked you are now second-guessing every moment they didn't see your worth. Suddenly, you're a mystery, a marvel, a miracle in motion. And here's the sacred truth. You are rare. You are sacred. And yes, you are untouchable. Not because you're above anyone, but because you're protected by something far greater. The divine doesn't spotlight people for show. It does so for purpose. You were chosen, refined, and now revealed. That's why your presence shifts atmospheres. That's why doors open without you knocking. That's why favor follows you like a loyal shadow. So walk boldly, mystic soul. The spotlight isn't on you by accident. It's a reflection of everything you've become. You don't need to prove anything. Just keep showing up. Your light is doing all the talking. Point 3. Your silence was strategic. Some of y'all went ghost, and let's be real, it shook people up. One day you were everywhere, liked, tagged, invited. Then suddenly, silence. No more posts, no more updates, no more access. People assumed the worst. They must be struggling. They fell off, or the classic, they're probably just lost. But here's the truth they didn't expect. You weren't lost. You were focused. While everyone else was chasing clout, you were chasing clarity. You weren't hiding, you were healing. You weren't avoiding life, you were redesigning it. In a world obsessed with being seen, the most rebellious act is to go unseen, to unplug and go inward. Psychologists call this the strategic retreat. It's the art of stepping back, not to escape, but to elevate. When you cut ties, you weren't being cold. You were setting boundaries. When you went off social media, you weren't falling behind. You were tuning out the noise to hear your own soul. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. And when you went quiet, that silence was sacred. You were in devotion. While others were busy being in drama, you were getting divine downloads. Meditation replaced gossip. Purpose replaced performance. And here's the most beautiful part. You don't owe anyone an explanation. True transformation doesn't come with press releases. When the caterpillar becomes the butterfly, it doesn't announce it to the forest. It just emerges, bold and beautiful. That's where you are now. You're not just showing up again, you're showing out. And you're doing it all without saying a single word. Because chosen ones don't scream, they radiate. Your presence alone speaks volumes. Your energy enters the room before you do. People who once doubted you now whisper about your glow. They sense the shift, even if they can't explain it. There's power in the pause, power in going ghost, and even more power in reappearing as the version of you no one saw coming. You've been in the shadows, sharpening your sword. You were never gone. You were just in the making. So no, you don't need to clap back, post receipts, or defend your journey. Your evolution is louder than any comeback ever could be. Let them talk. Let them wonder. You've already won by becoming who you were always meant to be. Keep radiating. Point 4. You outgrew who they thought you were. They only knew the old version of you, the version that said yes when your soul screamed no, the version that played small so others could feel big, the version that apologized for simply being. You were once the quiet observer in the room, the people pleaser, the peacemaker, the one who thought shrinking made you more lovable. But life, pain, awakening, and divine alignment had other plans. That old version, it was just your cocoon. Necessary but not permanent. Now, you've gone through the fire and come out refined, not burned. You've done the inner work, tending to your wounds, confronting your shadow, forgiving where necessary, and letting go of who you thought you had to be. You're no longer hiding your light to soothe someone else's insecurity. You don't apologize for taking up space. You're walking in divine power, unapologetically authentic, fiercely self-aware, and rooted in truth. This transformation isn't just a glow-up, it's a soul-up. You've outgrown expired relationships and low-vibrational conversations. The drama that once pulled you in now bores you. The validation you once chased. You've realized it was cheap change for your spiritual gold. your standards elevated, your boundaries ironclad and heaven-approved. You no longer beg for respect, you embody it, and your faith, deeper than any fear that once tried to grip you. You know who walks with you now. You're not operating from ego, you're aligned with purpose, and that's why they're staring. People who once put you in a box are now squinting from the sidelines like, OMG, who are you? They can't quite recognize you because they only knew the old software. They tried to download a new connection with a cached memory of you, but that version is obsolete. The password changed, access denied. Psychologists refer to this phenomenon as self-concept clarity, the moment you align who you are with who you've always been destined to be. It's when your inner knowing catches up with your outer living, and when that happens, you become unrecognizable to those who only loved the version of you they could control, define, or benefit from. But you didn't evolve to impress them. You evolved because your soul demanded expansion. So let them stare, let them whisper, let them wonder. You've upgraded, and divine transformations always leave a trail of dropped jaws. Point 5. Your presence exposes their pretense. Let's sprinkle some truth here, and not just the pretty kind. We're talking spiritual facts with divine fire. You don't need to raise your voice, call people out, or demand respect anymore. Why? Because your presence has become your loudest message. You've evolved. Your energy speaks volumes before your mouth even opens. That silent stare, that calm aura, that way you enter a room and suddenly the vibe shifts. That's no coincidence. It's spiritual physics. When a spirit warrior, someone operating at a high frequency, walks into a space, everything false begins to shake like glass in an earthquake. It's not magic, it's energy alignment. Quantum physics tells us that everything vibrates. People pretending to be something they're not are vibrating on a low, unstable frequency. But you've done the inner work, the shadow work, the healing, the breaking, the building. You've stepped into authenticity, and authenticity vibrates higher than deception ever could. When you enter the scene, you become a divine mirror. People look at you and are suddenly reminded of everything they've neglected in themselves, dreams they abandoned, truths they buried, masks they've glued on too tight. That's not your burden to carry, that's their wake-up call, and it hits them hard. You don't have to confront the double-tongued or unmask the two-faced. Your spirit does that naturally. Your light exposes shadows, not because it wants to shame them, but because light can't help but reveal. It's what it was designed to do. Just like the sun doesn't apologize for making things visible. You don't need to shrink just because your radiance makes some people uncomfortable. The truth is, spirit warriors are frequency filters. You don't need to play detective or enforcer. Your energy reveals who's real and who's not. It's why some people avoid you now. They can't wear their masks around you anymore. It's why others suddenly want to change, because your authenticity sparks their desire to rise. So keep glowing, keep being. Don't dim, don't explain, and certainly don't apologize. Let the light do what it does: shine, heal, expose, and elevate. And remember this, those who can't handle your frequency were never meant to stay in your vibration. Let them tremble, let them reflect. You just keep rising. Point 6. The universe is now aligning with you. You're not lucky, you're aligned. The power of divine timing and inner flow. Doors are opening, people are calling. Emails you once hoped for are now sitting in your inbox, and opportunities seem to be falling into your lap faster than you can say yes. But let's be clear, this isn't luck. This is alignment. You didn't stumble into this moment by accident. You aligned with it. Every step, every fall, every time you chose faith over fear was preparation. You're now in flow with divine timing, and the world can feel it. This alignment is what spiritual teachers call vibrational harmony, when your thoughts, actions, and intentions are tuned to the frequency of your higher self. Scientists studying quantum theory and consciousness suggest that everything is energy, and we attract what we emit. What you once chased out of desperation, you now attract with confidence. This is the magnetic power of self-awareness and purpose. You're no longer pushing doors open with sheer will. They're swinging wide because the energy you carry says you're ready. The same world that once underestimated you, looked past you, dismissed you, is now watching your rise with wide eyes and open mouths. Why? Because when God says go, The universe doesn't hesitate. It responds. You've moved from resistance to receptivity, and that's a powerful shift. You're no longer begging for validation. You've become a beacon of manifestation. The spotlight isn't something you sought. It found you when you stepped fully into who you are. This isn't hustle culture. This is heart-led living. You're not forcing anything anymore. You've traded control for trust. You're flowing, not fearing. Instead of manipulating outcomes, you're aligning with your divine assignment. That's why people are reaching out now. That's why rooms that once ignored you now make space for you. Because energy doesn't lie, and you're finally radiating the truth of your calling. The version of you who stayed silent, who shrank, who doubted, that person laid the groundwork. But now everything is catching up to the version of you that was always meant to lead. The rise isn't random, it's right on time. So don't question this moment, own it. You're not just rising, you're fulfilling a destiny that was written long before anyone knew your name. Point 7. This comeback is actually your becoming. Here's the twist. This isn't even a comeback. Because how can you come back to a place you've outgrown? You're not returning to an old version of yourself. You're not revisiting outdated titles, worn-out roles, or recycled narratives. No, this is your arrival, your true emergence. You're not stepping back on the scene. You're stepping into destiny. For too long, you may have been underestimated, misunderstood, or even ignored. But let's be clear, that wasn't the universe rejecting you. It was preparing you. Like a seed in the soil, you were hidden, not buried. You were incubating in silence while others misread your stillness as stagnation. But the truth? You were being awakened, activated, ascended. This isn't just a new chapter. Chapters suggest continuity. This is a new book, new genre, new cover, new language. And you, yes you, are the plot twist nobody saw coming. You are the bestseller that no publisher could have predicted. Your story doesn't follow their rules because it was never written by their hand. It was written by the divine, whispered by your ancestors, and carried on the breath of angels. See, the world is scrambling to categorize you now. They don't know how to process this version of you, confident, unbothered, lit from within. But that's okay, because this version wasn't made for the world's approval. It was made for purpose. And purpose doesn't ask permission. It simply shows up and sets the room on fire. From a psychological standpoint, transformations like this occur when we experience what experts call post-traumatic growth. It's a phenomenon where adversity doesn't just build resilience, it ignites evolution. Your hardship didn't just make you stronger, it rewired your spirit. You didn't bounce back, you broke through. And while some may still be stuck on who you used to be, the higher realms already recognize who you've become. The ancestors? They're clapping. The angels, they're on divine assignment, clearing paths you didn't even know you'd need. Creation itself, holding its breath, watching how you're about to shake the atmosphere. So no, don't call this a comeback. Call it a becoming. A soul's unveiling, a spiritual uprising. You are no longer trying to fit into spaces that weren't designed for your magnitude. You're here to build new ones, to walk with legacy, to speak with fire, to move like prophecy. And as for those watching, let them, because you're not just changing the game, you are the game. Chosen ones, spirit warriors, listen closely. You weren't just built for this moment, you are the moment. You didn't fall behind, you were being set apart. And now, as you rise with divine power, supernatural wisdom, and radiant authenticity, the world won't know what hit it. So when they ask, OMG, who are you? You smile and say, I'm who God designed me to be. Finally unleashed, now go. Shock the world, stay awakened, stay royal, and stay radiant. Your comeback isn't coming, it's here.